This is Rebecca Lowe, or Rebecca Lua, if you listen to Suboptimal Radio, and you are listening to Men in Blazers on the NBC Sports Network.
It's unbelievable!
From the Embassy Row studios, in the crap part of Soho, it's the Men in Blazers podcast, Rog.
Oh, great day to be alive, David.
It's beginning of spring. Happy first day of spring, Rog. I know it's not officially the first day of spring, but I divide the entire year into 4 equal 3-month periods. And for me, spring is March, April, May.
Yeah.
Happy spring.
It's the beginning of the 9-month period in which you get your calf muscles out on every single opportunity as it presents
I've had
itself.
them out all winter. It's 12 months a year, mate. You know that.
Oh, I'm feeling great, though, David. Pod room.
Mm-hmm.
You don't mind me calling your office the pod room, do you?
Yeah, well, I sort of do. The pod room. You've never called it the pod room before.
Whatever it is,
Yeah.
it still smells faintly of Frank Lampard.
The pod centre.
The smell of fine leather,
Yeah.
oak casks,
Yeah.
gold coins, and success. What a lovely place.
The smell of happiness, Rog. He seems so genuinely happy living here in New York with his lovely and very talented wife, Christine Bleakley.
He's having a blast.
Yeah.
He does seem a man determined to make the most out of every minute he's got on these shores, in and out of the game, David.
Yeah, and living right next door to Bloomingdale's as well. You make the most of that.
He told you something very interesting.
Well, I thought what was interesting, we talked about a lot of things. I was just reflecting on this morning, that, we talked about, as you said, a mixed season, perhaps a disappointing season for not only him, but for the entire squad at NYCFC.
But when you're speaking
last
to
year.
him and looking at you now, you want to say mixed.
Yeah, exactly. When he's sitting right here.
Yeah.
And we're saying how is he feeling
Some
with Patrick
strengths, some
Vieira.
positives.
But one of the things he said about Vieira, 2 things that really struck me.
Some
One,
negative.
every time he talked about Vieira, he talked about the management team. That it's not just Vieira, that it's a bunch of managers. I imagine 30 Patrick Vieiras, all working on various aspects of that squad's game. But also he talked about just the simple thing, the simple change is that Patrick Vieira has installed a team dinner or sort of bonding meal before each game. And that seems so obvious. All European teams do it. But apparently NYCFC weren't doing it before.
Yep.
How many MLS teams don't do it on the whole?
Well, the dinner's so important. Every manager you speak to talks about how they reinvent the team culture by changing the shape of the table,
Yeah.
or the size of the table. Honestly, every man. We used to have the Spanish lads at one table. We
Yeah.
used to have the English lads at another. I just got one big oval
Yeah.
table. That's got us to 4th place, and they all have.
I also asked
tables,
him,
everything.
I also asked him what it's like playing on that field in Yankee Stadium, because sometimes watching it is quite difficult. And I said that my suspicion is that it's not actually a true rectangle, that it might be some other form of rhombus or quadrilateral. And he said, you know what, you might be right. I'm not sure that the lines are parallel to each other there either. So we need to investigate. We need to go out there and measure.
More from Frank on our MLS podcast, which is forthcoming, I believe, on Thursday. It's a gorgeous one. Jordan Morris and Portland Timbers coach Caleb Porter also
lovely
jumping
man.
aboard to preview the season. But because we didn't have MLS in our loving arms
Yeah.
last weekend, David, we had the Oscars.
Yeah. I didn't watch them.
You were not alone.
Really? Well, yeah, but I didn't rate very well, I heard.
Yeah. You missed... What did you miss? You missed Chris Rock
Yeah.
killing the opening. And he really did kill the opening.
Yeah.
The Girl Scout cookie sketches, not so much.
They thought that was going to go viral. I
Yeah.
guarantee.
I mean, there's some pluses. I'm trying to be positive, Dave. It was a big night for light jazz. Still humming that Muzak rendition of the Ghostbusters theme. They kept playing, bumping into breaks.
It's the only reason I watched New York One, local cable news for the light. I love a bit of soft jazz.
And Pat Kiernan.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh, I love Pat Kiernan. I also love football's subtle presence hovering over the whole event.
Yeah.
Kate Winslet and Patricia Arquette both electing to wear Jurgen Klopp glasses in tribute to the big Teutonic Care Bear.
Yeah.
I think Winslet's actually a big FIFA gamer.
Yeah.
And Olivia Wilde
Yeah.
walking down the red carpet.
Yeah.
Wearing a sneak peek of next year's Arsenal home jersey. And by sneak peek, I mean only Danny Welbeck showed more side boob in 2016. Red carpet was a bit crap. Felt really off. Got to ask you, who would your dream red carpet interviewing team be? 'Cause it definitely needs a refresh.
Oh, well, Seacrest. Got to be there on the red carpet. I don't know. I mean, to me, best interviewer in the world, Charlie Rose. So Charlie Rose has got to take one of the slots. And I got to say, Rebecca Law.
Yes.
Rebecca Law would
Yes.
be great out there
She would
on the
be
red carpet.
Arlo,
Yeah.
the two Robbies,
Yeah.
Kyle.
And Stoner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stoner, obviously.
Yeah.
You got to get Stoner.
Yeah.
And Ray Hudson, just for the crazy bits,
Yeah, no,
going into
that'd be
Uncle
good.
Ray. Oh, Ashley313 tweeted us, my dream red carpet show would be Joe Hart getting
Yeah.
everyone fired up in the limo.
Yeah.
Keep presenting Charlize.
Yeah.
More magic, Leo. And then it went all downhill from there, David.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled for our great friends, Laszlo Nemes, Son of
Yeah.
Saul, which
Yeah.
won Best Foreign Oscar. Mark Rylance will
Yeah.
soon be signing up to play Claudio Ranieri in the Hollywood Leicester City biopic retelling.
Yeah.
But overall, it was a slog to watch, Davo, and it used to be such a joy. Why is that?
Did it used to? I mean, look, I would love to say in a very self-serving way that the two Academy Awards I was involved with in 1998 and 1999 were amazing. They were really amazing shows.
You don't even need
But
to
I'm
say
not
the years,
sure-
just call them what they are, the gold standard.
But I don't know that the Academy Awards was ever that good. I just think there was less competition on television and we had less high standards for what award shows were going to go and be. It's always been a 4.5-hour slog, that show, with a lot of awards and all those speeches you didn't really want to watch. Yes, there have been great moments. Billy Crystal was an amazing, amazing host. But I think it's difficult. People don't go and see the same movies anymore. We're not really sharing. How many people have actually seen Spotlight or Revenant or Sicario or any of these films? Not enough. Ray Hudson would love Sicario. Sicario! He'd love Sicario! Sicario!
Oh, but this one, there was something desperate about this whole Oscar ceremony, David. I mean, the crazy camera angles they use, the props they engage to try and make it more exciting,
Yeah.
the Stacey Dash gigs, the Sarah Silverman monologue, all the frantic efforts to create YouTube moments.
Yeah.
I mean, these Oscars, they felt to me, it was like watching a childhood friend have a midlife crisis and just not being able to help. It used to be so aspirational, or they used
Yeah.
to position themselves as being so aspirational. Now the Oscars just comes across as totally desperate, like our show.
Yeah, except perhaps more defensive. I mean, the whole, like, you know, white Oscars, the complete lack of African-American nominees this year, is I felt the Academy handled that incredibly badly, and the broadcast handled it incredibly badly as well, including the Stacey Dash moment that I've only watched the clip of that, I haven't watched the whole thing. That seems so bizarre, that moment. Chrissy Teigen's face, an absolute classic. And then, you know...
She looked like a proper Arsenal fan.
And then the joke about the Asian kids, which, seems so bizarre.
You know what the Oscars' biggest problem is, David? Because those
What?
are all massive problems.
Yeah.
To me, it's that none of the movies Hollywood produced this year
Yeah.
came close to matching the screenwriting, the cinematography, or the performances of this year's English Premier League.
Yeah, no, you're right. The writers are too... Well, and maybe it's another way of saying the top Hollywood writers are so busy writing the Premier League, they don't have time to work on Hollywood movies or on the Academy Awards broadcast.
Let's talk about more important stuff, David. Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah. Times Square, that picture.
He found a way...
He's bringing Times Square back, Rog.
See,
That's
though-
my new angle on it. It's not that he doesn't realise how sad Times Square is. It's that he's actually trying to bring it back.
Well, for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, Brendan Rodgers found a way not only to get engaged,
Yeah.
but to keep himself in the media in possibly the most creative way possible.
Yeah.
He proposed to his wife-to-be
Charlotte Searle.
in Times Square
Yeah.
on one knee
Yeah.
and was caught by a random, allegedly, passing by civilian who thought it was so funny that someone was doing a romantic thing in Times Square. They
Yeah.
took a photo and then realised afterwards
Yeah.
it was Brendan Rodgers. If you've not seen it, Google
Yeah.
it. Imagine all the sexual chemistry of Rihanna and Drake in the Work, Work, Work video.
Yeah.
Now imagine the exact opposite, and you've got a mental image of the scene. Brendan Rodgers,
Yeah.
the Brodge, on one knee in Times Square, right in front of Bubba Gump Shrimp,
Yeah, and
And
lids. A beautifully composed shot.
as the Daily Mail headline howled,
Yeah.
he proposed just 68 days after getting divorced from wife of 14 years, Susan,
Yeah.
who's very well known to viewers of...
Being Liverpool.
Yeah. I was going to say, I'm going to leave it here, but serial monogamists are the most complicated kind of monogamists.
Yeah.
If you subtract what Times Square is really like from what Times Square is like in his imagination, you
Yeah.
can really isolate the enormous levels of Brendan Rodgers' own self-delusion.
Uh-huh.
My question for you, Davo, is, did Brendan actually know how crap Times Square is, a.k.a. the worst place in the modern world? Or did he have a deep appreciation of the place's history, and he actually did know that in the 1980s the area was the home of porn, smut and go-go bars, and that's exactly why he picked it?
Let me answer that question by giving you a different scenario. Jurgen Klopp would get engaged in exactly the same place, in front of lids, in front of bubblegum shrimp, in exactly the same way. And we'd view it as a remarkably romantic, wonderful idea. Is as the Broj, I think, makes it seem that way. Exactly the same result, exactly the same situation could happen with Jurgen, and he'd get a win.
That's distinctly possible.
Yeah.
But Jurgen wouldn't be bellowing romantically, "You're the first woman to love me as much as I love me." And that I find very emotional. I think the words would be different. It would change everything. Talking about romance, the Golden Blazers.
Oh, Golden Blazers, Rog, coming up Wednesday, April 6th at 8 p.m. I've got to check my calendar and make sure I'm available. Pretty sure I am.
You guys have got a lot of questions about how the Golden Blazer is awarded.
Yeah.
At Time for Miller wanted to know, can past Golden Blazer recipients vote? Does every country FA vote? Will there be clear voting booths? The truth is we're conclaving with past winners, Julie Foudy and Bob Lee, to select a new recipient as we speak. At J.A. Goodwin tweeted, "Is the conclave like the secret hunting society Scalia was with when he died?"
No comment.
It's just like that, but a bit more powerful. We sold out. Thank you, GFOPs, for coming in. Sold out very quickly. There is a waiting list. If you do want a ticket, email us. We'll put you on the waiting list, the old GFOP secondary market.
Yeah, it's like Hamilton.
But there's one thing we do want to play up about this event, David.
Yeah, this year's Golden Blazers includes Men in Blazers' first ever Blazer Drive. Bring a blazer, a suit, or a sport coat. Those are all parts of the Blazer family.
Used.
To donate. Used.
Yeah,
well, you could bring a new one if you wanted to.
Buy a new one. Don't be a tight ass.
Bring one in to donate to Hope for the Warriors Transition Services Program. I'm moving apartments right now. I just put a whole bunch of blazers aside, Rog, and sport coats and suits. They're going to go to the Hope for the Warriors Transition Services Program, which supports the goals of service members, veterans, and their families as they move from military careers into professional roles.
Oh, that'll be the most optimal part of the evening.
It will be. It's excellent. Just the collection of used blazers. I particularly will enjoy that. Okay, we've got a packed show. We're going to break down LVG's Oscar-worthy touchline tumble. I see great writing, Rod. During Manchester United's 3-2 win over Arsenal, we're going to revel in league leaders Leicester's last-minute winner over Norwich City. And we put as much effort into recapping the Capital One Company Cup final as Yaya Toure put into playing it. Plus, FIFA's new president, US Soccer's new crest, and MLS opening day is almost upon us. To the football, Rog.
Before I open my can of Guinness, David, can I just say, I want to toast someone special.
Okay, who?
Rebecca Lowe.
Oh, we love Rebecca Lowe.
Deep into her pregnancy, the amount of work, dedication and insight she brings to a Premier League weekend is already a broadcasting wonder.
Yeah.
But to do so when you are so heavily pregnant and probably want to be anywhere else, what you don't see before she broadcasts is the number of days she puts in, massive benders into preparing to broadcast. Honestly, I look at her right now. She's an inspiration, and it is unbelievable news that NBC has locked up her and the fantastic Arlo White to new 6-year deals. No one deserves that more. Ashley 313, well, that's the second tweet we got of hers.
Yeah.
So Baby Lowe will come out pre-educated about the Premier League, love Leicester City, and be confused why Uncle Robbie has two different voices.
That's very, very true. Put down at birth for the Mercersburg Academy. Okay, crack open the Guinness, Rog. We're heading into the football. We're recording this pod Tuesday afternoon, Rog, as 5 Premier League games take place, depending upon when you're listening. Teams are anywhere between 26 and 28 38ths through the Premier League season. So if it sounds like we're discussing last week's episode of The People versus O.J. Simpson, when this week's already aired, that is why. Cheers, Rog.
L'chaim, Rebecca Lowe.
Liverpool 1, Manchester City 1. This is the Capital One Company Cup final. City won it 3-1 on penalties. Manuel Pellegrini ensures his final season at City includes at least one piece of silverware. Not sure it's actually silver. Goals from Fernandinho and Coutinho cancelled each other out in the first 90 minutes. After neither side drew blood in extra time, the game went into penalties where City's Argentinian goalkeeper, Willy Caballero, repaid Pellegrini's confidence in him with 3 tremendous saves.
The League Cup, as a sporting spectacle of importance, David, where's it rank? Up there somewhere in between the Franklin American Mortgage City Music Bowl.
Yeah.
Maybe the Tax Slayer Bowl. Or the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest. Where would you place it?
Right up there with the Horse of the Year show, Rog. I love the Horse of the Year show.
I mean, the cup was lesser than the issues that were unfurling in the run-up to it. I mean, City and Cups, within the space of 1 week, they treated the FA Cup with utter disdain and then attacked the Champions League with a relish, probably the high point of their season midweek. How would they treat this bauble that is the League Cup final? Much of the debate seemed to surround whether Pellegrini would feel Joe Hart in goal as a sign of menace and intent, or continue to paratroop in second-string fumbler Willie Caballero for his comedy stylings.
Yeah, but, he's a gentleman, Rog.
He said after the game, "I prefer to lose this title than lose my word.
Yeah.
My word is more important than football." Sounded very much like Willie Loman, an Arthur Miller character. He'd say triumphantly, though by having a Premier League manager admit that they place values over football. I think he may have unwittingly revealed exactly why Manchester City are going to get rid of him at the end of the season.
Although, actually, from a footballing point of view, it's a great decision. Caballero had a great game.
As we will see. But for Liverpool under Klopp, this League Cup final offered a shot of adrenaline to a season which is fast and spooling. I mean, the optimism of Liverpool's 4-1 destruction of City at the Etihad back in November seemed like an eon ago at kick-off. And the game itself, a bit of a slow burner after watching the surreal stylings that was United against Arsenal that came before it. Both teams charging at each other with intent, but it was City that opened the scoring.
Yeah, Fernandinho, Rog. Not the goal scorer everyone expected. Probably get good odds on Fernandinho scoring the opening goal. It was a slightly strange finish. He hit it hard, but right at Mignolet, Rog.
Yeah, he was the first one to remember the pre-match briefing instructions that rolling the ball in Simon Mignolet's general direction is 87% certain to end in a goal. The ball went right through the Belgian keeper as if he was Patrick Swayze in Ghost.
Yeah.
My game notes just say Marcus Rashford would have saved that. Mignolet's just signed a 5-year deal, David.
Yeah.
How many years do you think he would have gotten if he can actually play football?
Yeah, that is to play in goal, is his 5-year deal. Or is he going to play somewhere else? They're going to try doing something else.
I think he's very good at picking up the cones after training.
Okay.
Liverpool try to force their way back into the game. They mean well going forward. They lack precision. And City really should have put the game away. They had a handful of dubious non-penalty calls.
Yeah.
And then their best chances fell to the feet of little mutton chops.
Raz. Come on, Raz. But he couldn't put it away.
He's quickly...
So weird. He was so good in the Champions League, Rog, and just played so poorly again in this game.
Oh, I love him. He's quickly become the funniest character on my television screen outside of Broad City. He's a sad clown like Zach Galifianakis in Baskets. What I admire about Klopp's Liverpool is their relentlessness.
Yeah.
Ineffectual, though it most often is. But then it was rightfully rewarded. Lallana hit the post.
Yeah. Banked it off the post deliberately. Rog and Coutinho put it in. That was like a goal from the F2. It was a fantastic...
It was like watching Chris Paul bounce the basketball deliberately off the backboard so that DeAndre Jordan can just power dunk it through the hole. Cue the kind of joyous outburst normally only demonstrated aboard Gronk's party boat. Almost felt like how I imagined Stevie G's birthday would be last year, David.
Yeah, just a few less red tank tops.
Oh, Stevie G's birthday.
Yeah.
Coutinho, pure City killer. 5 of his last 6 games he's scored in against Manchester City. But down the stretch, the game became a goalkeeper clinic. A crap goalkeeper clinic. The best play from the worst goalies in world football.
Caballero.
Morphed into Dominic Hassett. And 3 huge saves from Simon Mignolet. He giveth, he taketh away. In fairness, demonstrating incredible mental resilience. Frantic stuff. Little in the way of quality. You loved the Yaya Toure Adam Lallana almost fight.
Oh, I love that 117th minute. It's about a third of the way through a standard Academy Awards broadcast these days. A little bit of aggro in the middle of the park.
Yeah, I mean, Yaya Toure, he just yanked up Adam Lallana.
Yeah.
As if he was an Oreo cookie that he fancied getting a little peckish come close to midnight when he had the munchies. So Yaya, I love watching him. He reminds me of me.
Yeah.
When I worked in a plastics factory on the kibbutz when I was 17.
I thought you were milking cows.
In between.
Yeah. Were they plastic cows?
Some days you couldn't milk. The cows didn't need milk and I'd have to work in the plastic. I hated working there.
How did you find that out? You got up in the morning not knowing if you were
You
going to
look on the notice board. You didn't know it was like Willie Caballero's life. Would you be starting? Would you not be starting? Would you be in the plastics factory? Would you be with the cows?
Yeah.
Hated the plastics factory.
Really?
Loved the cows.
Loved milking the cows.
And I realised the plastics factory was this vast work floor. Massive. I realised if I just tucked a metal bar under my arm, I could slowly kind of walk around and do laps of the... Everyone thought I was busy when I actually wasn't doing anything. That is how Yaya Toure plays football, David.
Yeah.
he's like permanently in power save mode,
Yeah.
apart from when he snaps out of it, which he did briefly at the end of penalties.
Yeah, it was the slowest walk to the penalty spot, though, in the history of slow walks to a penalty
It's like
spot.
watching Willis Reed walk into the garden with his
Yeah.
ankle injury.
Yeah.
He finished it and then reverted to could not give a crap mode,
Yeah.
just preferring to sit off the side and glower
Oh, during the team photo.
while the rest of the team celebrated with the trophy together for the official squad photo with Yaya. There was always an iron team. Real hero, though,
yeah.
Willie.
Cavaliero.
What a mastermind reader.
Yeah.
When it came down to it, Davey, 3 penalty saves, massive, standing up strong, refusing to jump early, which unnerved the Liverpool shooters.
Yeah.
Willie,
Cavaliero.
he is the power bald of the weekend, Davey.
Yeah, he is. He's a large man with large hands and a large pate, which we enjoy.
Power bald. Poor Liverpool, they
Yeah.
ran themselves into the ground with no reward. They now play 3 more games against Manchester clubs in the next 15 days. They're playing City tomorrow, Wednesday, and then they play United twice within a week. 3 games out of their next 4 matches against the 2 teams from the city Liverpudlians most loathe.
Well, that was the Capital One Cuppity Cup. Now to the big game in the Premier League. Roger, what a fantastic feast.
Real football.
Feast. This was Manchester United 3, Arsenal 2. United repel Arsenal thanks to 2 goals and an assist from 18-year-old local lad Marcus Rashford. How many people knew his name at the beginning of the season, Roger, or even 2 weeks ago? The former Fletcher Moss Rangers man-child. It's not even a man-child, he's a child. Scored 2 first-half goals, 165 seconds apart, before setting up Ander Herrera for what proved to be the game winner. But out of concern the headlines would go to the youngster's head, LVG decided to steal the show, protesting a second-half foul, or flop, by flopping himself to the turf and recreating something akin to a Liverpool College breaking crew move in front of the 4th official.
So much to unpack, Davey.
Oh
a
my
treasure,
I
a
know.
gem.
Buckle in,
A
buckle
feast.
in, buckle in.
United limped into the game, 15 injured players,
Yeah.
including Wayne Rooney and Anthony Martial.
Yeah.
Their injured 11
Yeah.
was eons above their actual first team on paper,
Best thing
David.
that could possibly have happened to Louis van Gaal.
Yeah, he had to field a mix of dodgy vets out of position and green shoots of youth. This was Manchester United's children's crusade.
Yeah.
The greatest children's crusade since the year 1212,
Yeah.
when 30,000 European youths were so moved to march to Jerusalem from France
Yeah.
in an effort to peacefully convert Muslims.
Yeah, 1877 Cars for Kids.
LVG
Yeah.
is a student of history, and he'll know that the majority of them either died of exhaustion, drowned, or were sold into slavery. So let's hold off what we think will happen to Marcus Rashford
Yeah.
before the end of his career. But it was a league debut for 18-year-old Rashford,
Yeah.
the boy who'd made a massive splash in the Europa League to rescue United against
Midtjylland.
a youth teamer. He looks younger than Jacob Tremblay.
Yeah.
Before the game, Wenger wisely told the press, "I don't know anything about Rashford," before his debut admits Wenger as Arsenal
Yeah.
boss prepares for showdown. How he'd learn. But Arsenal, Davo, I mean, they walked into this game like Yaya Toure towards the penalty spot in the League Cup. All the adrenaline against Leicester City, that last-minute glory. The bare-bottom spanking dispensed by Barcelona midweek. Brutal.
Yeah, they started brightly, but sometimes when Arsenal play and all those quality players, they turn into a team of individuals very, very, very quickly. And the goal went in from United. And even though the game remained close, you just never saw Arsenal getting back into this game.
Yeah, I mean, they did. They started with angles, pace and cunning Arsenal. David De Gea had to be David De Gea early and often in this one. But then out of nowhere, United struck with an opening goal that featured youth. Lingard won the challenge. Varela crossed the ball.
Yeah.
And Rashford finished like an English Mallory Pugh.
Yeah, he just found enough space in the box, and he did it throughout the game. Just found enough space, just a little bit extra speed, or they just don't bother marking the child. They'll give him space. Finds a little bit of space. Gets a little bit fortunate with the deflection and the attempted block, and the ball goes in the back of the net.
Jurgen Klinsmann always says that young players step up in big games because they don't know enough to be afraid. Which I think describes Rashford's week perfectly.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got to say, well done, Premier League writers.
Yeah, well done.
The one storyline this season had lacked has now had its box ticked. The obscure village youth plucked to go on a vision quest in which he must save the world. Marcus Rashford, you are the last starfighter. What must that have felt like, David? Can you imagine being 18, feeling that sudden burst of adrenaline, of dominance, of joy?
I mean, I just can't imagine. This time last week, he was maybe going to get on the bench the next day against Midtjylland. I mean, it is just quite remarkable what has happened and how much his world has changed. Rumours that he's now going to get a £15,000 a week contract all the way. I mean, it's crazy. It's an insane change.
Yeah, he changed his name. He's now Real Madrid's Marcus Rashford.
Yeah.
But he's living. I mean, this has only happened
He's
once.
the most famous Rashford in history.
History of Rashford.
There's never been a Rashford more famous than this Rashford. There was Roachford, who was that British soul singer in the 1980s, but there's never been a Rashford anywhere near this famous.
It only happens in goal movies.
Yeah.
Marcus Rashford, Santiago Munez. He couldn't do it again, though, could he, David?
Who knows? Who knows?
We do. He's 165 seconds
I thought you
later.
meant in another game. In this game, 165 seconds later, he does it again. Once again, finds a little bit of space, and from the Lingard cross, heads it in.
Yet, to lock lips with a girl.
Do we know that for a fact?
Yeah, stats.
Okay, good.
Paul Carr told me.
Uh-huh.
I mean, talking about stats, God, the 2 goals ever triggered more a glut of quickly crafted stats, mocking players like Falcao, who failed at United. Stats like this one. Time taken to score 4 goals this season. Wayne Rooney, 8 games. Marcus Rashford, 122 minutes. But Arsenal, punch drunk though they may have been, David, they found a way back into the game. Yeah,
Welbs comes in, former Man United player, actually scored for Man United when he was even younger in the league than Rashford.
So it's a cautionary tale for Rashford then.
Because he might end up like Welbs. He comes in, scores terrible defending, actually, and he scores a goal.
He again made defending seem like a lost art. He was surrounded by half-hearted United challengers, set piece eerily reminiscent of the one he nodded home against Leicester City the weekend before. Interestingly, Welbs, Dave, that guy, like Rashford, a fellow graduate of Fletcher Moss Rangers.
Wow.
The local Manchester boys club that's a feeder to the United youth system. Wes Brown, Ravon Morrison, Danny Welbeck, Cameron Borthwick-Jackson, Rashford, Jesse Lingard all spent time at the club.
Wow.
Got 29 former players currently in the United system. I think the English national team should just consider fielding the current Fletcher Moss Rangers team at Euro 2016.
Fast forward to next week's headline. American multimillionaire buys Fletcher Moss.
2-1 at the half. Fantastic spectacle, particularly if you're on the Leicester City bandwagon.
Yeah.
But for Arsenal fans, to have to attach their psychological nipple clamps on so early and so often, in one of their biggest mental tests of the season, what a brutal truth. I mean, their team was playing the footballing version of Hitler's deformed micropenis.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did that happen?
It's amazing also observing an Arsenal game while following Arsenal fans on Twitter and just how much they turn on their team and their manager the second that they're losing. And how the second that they get a goal back, it's like they were amazing, and how it's just the highs and lows. You've said it before. No fans go through more highs and lows than Arsenal fans.
I mean, the tactical challenge, Dave, was that the Arsenal attack has just become so blunt suddenly. Sanchez lost his sharpness through injury. Ozil, before the game, had only played 1 sublime assist in the past 8. Olivier Giroud has become merely a male model as opposed to a male model / goal-scoring footballer. So Wenger had decided to start Welbeck and Walcott up front.
Walcott?
Use their piece against Carrick and Blint.
Yeah. I barely saw Walcott. Honestly, I actually read on Twitter that Walcott was playing, and I was watching the game thinking, really? Was Walcott on? Or was this a bit of irony, a bit of sarcasm? I don't even see him.
He was invisible, David.
Yeah.
And I wonder at half-time what he must have felt like trumping back to that locker room as a one-time phenom whose star is fast dimming, meditating on how easy Marcus Rashford had made goal-scoring seem.
Yeah. But to me, it's not a loss of form with Walcott. It's a complete loss of will. When he turns it on, it's almost like he's a weird sort of other version of Yaya Toure. When he decides to turn it on, he can be dynamic. He can do amazing things on a football field. He just seems to not have the nerve to go and do it.
To me, he's a bottomless well of melancholy. There's something about his countenance. He reminds me of English Landon Donovan a little bit. But despite that, Dave, Arsenal came out with a motivated menace to start the second half. They knocked the ball into the Giroud-sized space in the Manchester United area before fading and becoming unable to move the ball forward with anything like sufficient pace. United threw on another kid, Fosu Mensah. 18 years old, and as he entered the field, another Paul Carr stat, United, the first ever team in the Premier League era to field 5 virgins at the same time.
We know that for a fact?
Stats.
Okay.
The teams traded goals. The game became
Paul Carr
full-blooded.
seems particularly interested in virgins and people who've never kissed a girl.
They were objective. Objective statistics do
Okay.
tell the whole story. Game became a bit of a psychological thriller. It was totally engrossing. It was really, and then it hit the apex moment of the season, David, of this season of seasons. Enter LVG, centre
LVG.
stage.
Yeah, the game had got a little spiky. There was a bit of handbags going on. Yeah, Ramsey and Herrera, and then Sanchez and Herrera. Sanchez, a bit of a flop, you'd have to say, and Louis van Gaal, who's not left his seat in the stands all season. Maybe once he left for a little bit when he forgot something, but he's not left.
Dog.
He comes out with his clipboard, of course, because he doesn't want to leave his clipboard behind, and he starts remonstrating with the fourth official that Sanchez flopped, and he decides, in brilliant work, Rog, out of nowhere, he didn't get ahead of his moment. He just reenacted the flop perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, this was, if you've not seen it, and how can you not have seen it? It was, all I say is, it was Vlade Divac grade flopping.
Yeah.
I mean, he just timbered to the floor like a giant redwood having been deforested.
Still holding his clipboard.
Yeah, well, that's his security blanket. That's his
love
boo-boo.
it. I love it.
I mean, I realised as he fell, Dave, and I have watched it maybe with JW, maybe 1,127 times
you
at
love
this point.
clipboard-based humour.
I do. It's a physical comedy genius.
Yeah.
I realised this was the day Louis van Gaal has stolen my heart.
Yeah.
I realised he and I have been living a rom-com.
Yeah.
He probably doesn't even know he's in it. But
He's got his mojo back, Rog.
We began as opposites. And over the course of the season, the movie, we've fallen in love despite our chalk and cheese differences, Dave. I'm the Kate Hudson. He's the McGonaghy in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. I'm the Julia Stiles. He's the Heath Ledger in 10 Things I Hate About You. By the end of the game, Dave, I was just screaming at the television, mostly, I hate the way I don't hate you.
Yeah.
Not even close.
No, I mean, we
I've
can't
fallen
afford...
hard for this man.
Excuse the pun. We can't afford to lose Louis van Gaal.
No.
There's too much. He's got too much to give. The writers are like, we can't let him go. I know we thought we needed Mourinho back, but Van Gaal, there's so much more we can do with this man.
I'll say this to you, Dave.
Yeah.
We like stats on this show, don't we?
Love 'em.
Stats.
Yeah.
Alex Ferguson won 13 league titles in his time at Old Trafford. How many Vine loops do you think he got?
Nothing like this.
Nothing like this.
Well, most of
David.
his career did happen pre-Vine loop.
Don't give me reality.
Yeah.
Give me deranged thinking.
Yeah.
I need it right this second, Davo. I mean, from this moment on, it became clear.
Yeah.
This would be LVG's day.
Yeah, it was Herrera level work, wet Herrera level work on the sideline.
Yeah, and you also realised Arsenal, they just lack the courage, the fibre, the psychological ability to win. They've internalised, I have to use my words carefully, a culture of failure born of their modern history and a lack of leadership, Dave. In that last 20 minutes, did you see an Arsenal player grab the team, challenge them to raise the game? Season not quite yet on the line, but I mean, the sands of time are running out. I mean, Ozil looked personally shattered. The back four appeared mute. I mean, all I could think of was Benito Mussolini's quotes in the mind of Donald Trump. It's better to live one day as a lion than 100 years as a sheep. I don't even know what that means, but I just thought I'd throw it in there.
There is still this thing, and this is the case against Arsene Wenger, Rog. There is still this thing about Arsenal. Yes, their record against the top teams has been much better this year. They've done much better in big games. But they lost those 2 matches to Chelsea. Chelsea way outside the top 6, but those are still big games for Arsenal. They won that huge game against Leicester. This is the time when you're pressing for the title. To go up there, it's not losing at Old Trafford, Rog. It's not even... even a draw would have been a great result for them at this point. But just the manner in which they lost, and yes, it was close, it was only 3-2, but really, to concede 2 goals to an 18-year-old, to give up that third goal from an 18-year-old's assist, it just is not good enough.
I mean, well, talking about Rashford, Martial, Memphis could be a very dangerous front three. United fans starting to dream. Again, I've got to say, they could all equally well end up playing for Sunderland within 2 seasons.
I have no idea how good Marcus Rashford is.
I have
He
no
could-
idea
I
how
don't
good.
know.
I have no
honestly-
idea how good Memphis is.
Yeah.
I mean, he has started to find some form quietly over the last few weeks, a time which coincides with the fact that he's reportedly dating. This one is crazy, Davo.
Yeah.
Steve Harvey's daughter, Laurie.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah. Read it in the
You
Daily
know,
Mail.
A more
My
random.
Bible.
I was trying to think of a more random pairing, Davo.
Yeah.
And it would be less surprising to me if we found out that Sam Allardyce is suddenly going out with Lena Dunham.
Yeah. Could be happening.
Or
I'll check the Daily Mail later.
Stephen Naismith
Yeah.
suddenly dating Abby Jacobson or Ilana Glazer.
Yeah, that
Well,
would
that'd
never
be a
happen.
fantastic pairing.
Yeah.
What do you think Rooney felt at home watching Rashford? What do you think Mourinho felt at home watching LVG? What does this win mean? I guess this win means that LVG is going to be the manager now for sure
Well,
to
you can
the
tell
end
for
of the
certain.
season.
There is no way Mourinho would have played Fellaini up front with like that injury.
Injured.
I know.
Oh.
Rather than play Rashford. He would find no reason to play a kid in that team. He would have brought Dennis Irwin back to go and play up front. Honestly, there's no way under Mourinho that Rashford would be anywhere near playing in that game.
All I want to say is I want LVG to
Yeah.
be Manchester United's manager forever and ever. United and Mourinho, rumours abound that Mourinho has agreed on a 3-year deal worth 22 million to be the next United manager. We will
Goodbye, Marcus Rashford.
discuss that exactly and when it happens. But talking about managerial changes, huge heat now under Arsene Wenger, the self-made Sisyphus. At Lee Casson tweeted us, he's not Sisyphus. Sisyphus knew what he was doing. Wenger keeps wondering why the rock always rolls down the hill despite his genius, Davo. Huge tabloid drumbeat now to replace Arsene Wenger, who called the criticism excessive and emotional and urged fans to unify around the team during the run-in.
I mean, I think Arsenal fans, it's amazing, that sort of clip of Claude, the huge Arsenal fan on Arsenal Fan TV. And one of the fans says, if you haven't seen the clip, you just look for it online. One of the fans says, well, we just need to win the next 10 games, we're going to be fine. And Claude jumps in, he goes, oh, we every effing year, we got to win the last 10 games. It's never gonna effing happen. And I think that a lot of Arsenal fans, not just Claude, are becoming sick of this scenario, of this idea. They see the Premier League moving away from them. By the way, they're still right in it. They're still right in it, but they sort of sense that it might be moving away from them and perhaps starting
Not
to
just
follow the
moving
Piers
away
Morgan
to them,
bandwagon.
not just moving away to them, but at the time when Leicester City, and
Yeah.
probably worse for Arsenal fans, Spurs,
Yeah.
are undermining Wenger's claims of just how hard it is to win the thing. I mean, the shock on the day was not that they were undone by Manchester United, more that they were outdone by that United team of broken toys and raw youth. Now Arsenal have got a slog really, through an unforgiving fixture list stuffed full of FA Cup replays, Champions League games, league play. The brutality of the schedule could be their greatest opponent yet.
Yeah.
By 16th of March, they could be also rans in every competition. And Spurs, bloody Spurs, loom this weekend for a game which is going to be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Unless you're an Arsenal fan, because to be one right now is to suffer repeat agonies that only Job in the Bible, Charlie Brown trying to kick a field goal, or Phil from Groundhog Day can truly understand. The GFOP Kurt Eeg sent us in a poem for all Arsenal fans by D.H. Lawrence. It's called Self-Pity. It goes like this. I never saw a wild thing sorry for itself. A small bird will drop frozen dead from a bough without ever having felt sorry for itself.
Wow.
Do you feel better now, Arsenal fans? I don't think you do, but I
No,
tried.
probably not. Probably not. Okay, Rog, let's go to the leaders. Effervescent, magnificent Leicester, Rog,
Horny
1,
football.
Norwich,
Horny football,
0.
David.
The Canaries attempt to out-Leicester Leicester by sitting back, conceding possession. Interesting tactic. A strategy that worked well until the 89th minute when substitute Leonardo Uchoa hit home from close range to scoop all 3 points at the King Power.
After running the gauntlet with style against Stoke, Liverpool, Manchester City and Arsenal, the run that was meant to expose them as pretenders, Leicester escaped the footballing equivalent of a pit of fire and had to work out how to cross a new challenge, a crocodile swamp, a spread of games against minnows. They're actually meant to dominate and win.
Yeah.
Starting with this one against Norwich, who arrived with no wins in their last 6. We've got to talk about the atmosphere pre-game, David.
Yeah.
I mean, this was against Leicester City. You have to remember, we're playing a game that against a team who were kind of in the same position as they were last. Leicester City this season were almost playing themselves last season in Norwich City, but it just feels like a magnificent theatre of sport within 12 months.
Yeah. Much of it bugle and drum related, Rog.
You love a bugle.
I love bugles.
The plastic clappers, the packed stadium, players' confidence oozing out of the tunnel now. Number of our American GFOPs making a trip purposely to go to England to sample this magnificent sporting spectacle firsthand. This question, David, it's more aimed at the audience or our other podcast, Savage Unsavoury Blood Sports Today.
Yeah.
But I don't understand. I said this on the television show. They've got so much pageantry. But why do they play that horn player, that proud horn player?
Bugler.
Yeah, bugler. And he uses the horn call that is traditionally in an English upper-class top hunt that you may or may not be accustomed to. I definitely am not. It's what you play before the horses and the hounds ride out to go and slaughter foxes. Release the hounds!
Yeah.
Why do they do it?
I think they're pro-foxes in any form that foxes can get any kind of notoriety.
Live ones, dead ones,
soon-to-be dead ones,
slaughtered
they're
ones.
just into it.
Yeah.
They're just into it. They're into the whole world of fox.
Foxes,
in whichever way.
Foxes, yeah. Into it.
Exactly. Okay, we call the foxes. What do? I've got bugles. We need beagles. We need hounds. We need drum. We need everything fox-related.
All that pageantry.
Yeah.
And then just a frustrating first half for Leicester.
Yeah.
Norwich wouldn't bend to their will. They were organised, hungry, smothered space, closed down their opponents.
Yeah.
With a three-man central defence who sat deep, deprived Jamie Vardy of the room that he craves behind enemy lines.
Hard to play against that much yellow.
59% of possession Leicester had. Shockingly in this game, only the third time all season they've had the majority of the ball. And it's a reality in which they don't thrive. They didn't manufacture a shot on target till the 58th minute. Norwich actually created the best chances on the break. They were like the poor man's Leicester City.
Yeah, but unfortunately they're crap.
Yeah, Cameron Jerome blowing a close-range header off target when it seemed easier to score. But your comment, Davo, big teams find a way
to win. They play with such belief and faith in each other. Just fantastic to watch, Roger.
Claudio Ranieri threw on Schlupp and King and Joa. First time all game, they started to make their signature counters down the flanks. And then the 89th minute.
Oh, it goes down the right. Mahrez to Albrighton. Albrighton crosses it in. Little nick from Vardy. Oshoa, the substitute. The writer's got it again. 1-0.
Oh, what a flick from Vardy. I imagine him saying, all yours, all effing yours.
Beers on the coach on the plane.
And Oshoa, when he had to, huge. All tattoos, gums and teeth. Knocked the ball home. Cue scenes of ebullient joy. Harsh on Norwich, their manager Alex Neil. But God, the agony, the ecstasy. He's aged terribly this season.
He is.
Looks about 32 or 33 years old now. 88 minutes of organisation and discipline, and then his defence switches off at the last second. Leicester City, at time of podding, are 5 points clear. Only twice in the last 12 seasons has a team leading the Premier League at the start of March not become champions. That's Arsenal, 2008, Chelsea, 2014. Only negative from this game, the magnificent N'Golo Kante is going to be out with a hamstring injury for 2 games. But I loved hearing Ranieri post-game. Long-time nearly man turned journeyman manager, not buckling under the pressure.
Yeah.
Instead electing to emit his folksy gnomic calm. Already we win because we are safe, he told the English press, but now we are dreaming. They must now prepare for the next 11 games. Opponents are going to drop back and give them the ball, defang their counter-attack by giving them little to counter. If they can find a plan B, Davo, a way to dominate against 2 banks of defenders, they can punch this miracle-grade sporting wonder over the line.
Yeah, he manages with joy, Claudio Ranieri. He manages with joy, Rog. The team, I think, have the best chance of catching them. Tottenham came back from behind against Swansea, beat them 2-1, fell behind 1-0 to a 19th minute Alberto Paloschi goal. Spurs staged a second-half comeback thanks to Nasser Chadli and Danny Rose. Spurs starting lineup in this game, an average age of 24 years and 103 days. That's the second youngest in the Premier League this season, behind only another Spurs 11 from a September game against Manchester City.
They were remarkable to watch in this game, Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah.
Even though they went behind, they kept their composure. It never felt like they believed they were going to lose. I mean, last season, if they'd gone 1-0 down to Swansea at home, crowd would have booed them off at half time.
Yeah.
But it's just a collective belief instilled in this team. And the atmosphere at White Hart Lane has become absolutely ebullient. something of the Dillon Panthers about this team. It's not just my mate Jesse Cohen of Tan Lines tweeted us and said that in certain light, Pochettino looks like Coach Taylor if he'd let himself go a little bit. Harry Kane, though, Matt Saracen, QB1. Oh, Tottenham Hotspur right now, they're truly all clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose. This game, reminiscent of the Season 1 finale in which the Panthers came back 26-0 down at the half. But watch out, West Cambria Mustangs. We're going to take the Texas State Championship 27-26.
Yeah, I also think that Pochettino is starting to reap the rewards of his fitness regime. Is apparently incredibly hard to work for. A lot of the players don't enjoy training very much because it's just physically so demanding. But this team just look so fast. They look so fit. They look so able. And eventually that preparation just leads you to feel good, Rob.
Well, they've never stopped running. 585 miles this season.
Wow.
No one has run more. I mean, they are the Premier League long-distance leaders. James Milner single-handedly proves charging up and down the field doesn't win you games.
Yeah.
But it's the collective fitness of this Spurs team. They're outlasting opponents like United used to do in the good old days. Harry Kane talked about the pre-season regimen, double and even triple sessions. He said you were pushing yourself to the limit, but you're doing it for a reason, and we're seeing that reason now.
Yeah.
We're fitter and fitter as the season goes on. I've felt the fittest I've ever been. It's really starting to work. If Claudio Ranieri was asked who's going to win the league, with great psychology, maybe because he's not aware he is managing Leicester City, he said Tottenham Hotspur. 2 points off the top, he said with a smile. He also said Arsenal, bizarrely, which kind of undermines his rationale. They have players
Arsenal's
who can win every game.
Arsenal's title to lose, Rog. Southampton 1, Chelsea 2. Another come from behind victory, Rog, after 6 straight clean sheets. Fraser Forster concedes not once but twice as Chelsea complete a second-half comeback thanks to goals from Cesc, Fabregas and Branislav Ivanovic. Remember him? It was Southampton's first loss in 7 Premier League games. Good game of football this
Most
actually.
impressive Chelsea League performance of the second Goose Hiddink regime.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, Southampton, football's team of the moment. Fraser Forster, I mean, he gave the goal an aura of impenetrable mystery. 1-0 down, Chelsea. Did you have a sense, Davo, watching it? They were so sloppy, so half-hearted. It seemed like a stroll for them in the first half. Did you sense this would be a game in which Chelsea's resurgence was likely to happen? I mean, they'd only scored 12 goals in 12 road games.
I felt Chelsea similarly, not at the level of Tottenham or Leicester, but I felt like they were playing with joy. Even that terrible Baba Rahman mistake sent them down 1-0. I felt like they were attacking. I felt like they could take Southampton. The only thing I was worried about is Fraser Forster, who's been unbeatable in the last few games. But we just saw the one weakness. We saw the one weakness of Fraser Forster. He's not that quick with his feet. He's a big guy, can't get down very well. And as Cesc sent that ball into the area, he just got stymied.
That's how you end 6 clean sheets, 11 hours and 48 minutes. Cesc shot reduced the much-touted next England #1 into a floundering giant like a slain warrior in the fighting pits of Marine.
Yeah.
Chelsea managed to up their urgency.
Yeah.
Forster won't like the winner either, David, which he palmed into his net. Bigger question about that goal, David. Branislav Ivanovic, where did all that hair come from?
Yeah, no, exactly. He's a bit more hair. He seems to be rejuvenated playing at centre-back, frankly. Getting him out of right-back, although I'm worried that now with Baba Rahman's form and John Terry coming back from injury, Ivanovic is going to be back there. But he just, that's the kind of goal that Chelsea used to score a lot of headed goals from corners. Haven't scored a lot this season. It was good to see Ivanovic doing that again.
First comeback win of the season. First time Chelsea have won back-to-back games this season. Life in the roadkill yet, Davo. Great sign ahead of the PSG clash, which is forthcoming. Pato's arrival, it's changed the course of the season.
Pato's so far down in the depth chart, he might be behind Falcao right now.
Quick word on the new manager-elect currently in talks to become Chelsea's next manager.
Yeah.
Antonio
Conte.
Yeah, a man whom Andrea Pirlo called a beast with 2 wives.
Yeah, we need another Italian.
You need another beast with 2 wives.
Italian.
I've got to thank the Daily Mail on the eve of contract talks. Their big headline story was Antonio Conte underwent hair transplant in bid to battle baldness.
Yeah.
Now the long-locked Italian is heading for talks with Chelsea.
Yeah.
He became
They're connected.
Apparently, he is the spokesperson for a Vancouver hair transplant centre because he's had 2 botched attempts to reverse the process in his native Italy. So let's give a shout out to the Hair Loss Improvement Solutions Clinic.
Yeah, I can just imagine the standard of care in the Italian hair transplant industry.
Oh, I guess
Based around Modena.
I guess for Premier League managers, hair's more important than tactical acumen nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. Ranieri doesn't care. He doesn't care, Rog. Okay, West Ham 1, Sunderland 0. A 30th minute, Mikel Antonio. Such a Shakespearean name. Mikel Antonio.
Such a non-Shakespearean kind of guy.
Yeah, goal. That spoils Big Sam's return to Upton Park and keeps Sunderland firmly entrenched in the relegation battle.
Oh, the Sam Allardyce derby. I like to believe there was a trophy for this game somewhere made completely out of pie. The only goal was a beauty. Antonio.
Mikel Antonio.
His third goal in 3 home games, which he celebrated by doing the curly, spinning round and round. The thing I love most about
Forsooth, I shall perform the curly.
the thing I love most about him doing the curly
Yeah.
was the look of complete confusion on the face of his teammate, Aaron Creswell.
They don't watch a lot of The Simpsons.
Stood over the spinning Antonio with just this abject look of worry and concern, wondering if he should apply the Heimlich or not.
Yeah.
Sunderland, glut of chances, most which fell to the feet of Jack Rodwell. A sadder career decline
What has happened
I have
to
rarely seen.
Rodwell? He was so good, Rog.
He was a prodigy.
He was better than Barkley as a young player.
Bright lights of Manchester City.
Yeah.
Then spat back out of the whale. The missed chance after chance for Sunderland. It was he's less a life, he's more a cautionary tale.
Yeah, for Marcus Rashford.
Between his missed chances, Kazri's failed Rabonnas at key times and sabotage. This was a lesser relegation battling performance, more an act of collective self-destruction. All power to West Ham. It's unbeaten in their last 11 home games. Remarkable stat, Davo. Not about virgins, but they're on course to record a positive goal difference in the top flight for the first time since 1986.
Okay, Rog. West Brom 3, Crystal Palace 2. An offensive explosion from the Baggies. Goals from the Craigs, Dawson and Gardner, and a tidy Berahino strike. But Tony Pulis' men 3-0 up by the 30th minute. Palace, to their credit, pulled 2 back from Connor Wickham. But at the time of recording this pod, they've yet to find the parachute cord to slow the free fall that's seen them go winless in the league in 2016.
This one was the Tony Pulis derby.
Yeah.
And TP broke out some fresh kicks to mark the occasion.
Oh, he loves fresh kicks.
Can't say watching West Brom attack with joy. It's like watching a pygmy hippopotamus dance gracefully on the African savannah. I mean, Berahino and Sessegnon, men inspired. After the game, Pulis bizarrely talked about Berahino. He said, the most important thing is he's got a God-given gift and he should squeeze the pips from it. Don't know what. Also squeezing pips.
Yeah.
Connor Wickham.
Yeah.
2 goals, thump up, propelled with the use of a blunderbuss, but it made no difference. Palace is slumped, Davo.
Yeah.
Since Christmas, when they were 6, they were just below Spurs on goal difference.
Yeah.
They've won just 3 points, 3 draws, 7 losses.
Yeah.
Form worse than Aston Bloody Villa. They have plummeted in
Yeah.
a season where their fans had dared to believe.
Yeah.
They're right back where they started.
There's been some
in the
sort
relegation
of
zone.
cosmic trading places situation with Chelsea. It's been a very bizarre sort of South London, West London transplant gone on.
It seems like only yesterday Alan Pardew came on our pod and talked about a top 4 finish. He's now been lambasted for his
Yeah,
tactics.
he was talking about the championship.
And able to summon a plan B. His team are now firmly in the relegation dogfight. It's a staggering implosion.
It is.
Thin squad, back four that have lost their confidence, a goalkeeper that lost his form, lack of an elite finisher. Glenn Murray now using his bald locks over at Bournemouth. Adebayor flittering in and out of games, no saviour. And of course, the injury to Yannick Bolasie, who is now back, Davo, just in time for a relegation dogfight.
Yeah, I also think there's been some lobbying, Rog. I watched a bit of this game. I don't think that the referees are letting their centre-backs play as physically as they were earlier in the season. And there was a lot of their success came about just how physically they outmuscled teams.
The second, the Americans by a chunk of the club, it's just a Philadelphia 76ification of Crystal Palace.
That is unfortunately
I'm not sure they
true.
understand that they don't get lottery picks.
Yeah, I know. That might be what they're going for. Okay, Stoke 2, Aston Villa 1. Talking about American owners. 2 goals from the mini man-bunned Marko Arnautovic lift the Potters over woeful Villa at the Britannia. Randy Lerner is going to be disappointed when his team is rewarded with a fixture list that includes Ipswich away rather than the first pick in the draft next year. Moving on to Watford 0, Bournemouth 0. 2 sprightly saves from Aurelio Gomez and some squandered chances from his Hornets teammates result in a goalless draw at Vicarage Road. Okay, Rog, big news. I know you're very excited about this. You got the thickening. Everton not in action this past weekend because they were scheduled to play Liverpool, who, as we mentioned, were in the Capital One Company Cup final. But there was some big news out of Merseyside. Your thoughts on the new owners, Rog?
British Iranian. Are you talking about one of my lifetime heroes?
Yeah, Farhad Moshiri.
Yeah, I love British
you loved him.
Iranian
You've been a big
billionaires.
fan of Farhad Moshiri. You love Iranian billionaires.
Yeah, I do. I've always had a soft spot for them.
Yeah, especially when they own Russian energy companies.
Yeah,
it's
well,
just the sort of business you're interested in.
I liked him when he owned a 15% stake in Arsenal.
Yeah,
I loved him when he sold it.
yeah.
I adored him when he gave it all back to his business partner, Alisher Uzamovka. I also like Uzbek-born Russian business magnates. He's a great one too. An Arsenal board agitator.
Yeah.
He liquidated his Arsenal shares and he brought 49.9% of Everton. I actually own one share of Everton. I should sell it.
You do?
Yeah, I should sell it to him.
Wow.
Maybe that would edge him closer towards the 50% mark. But right now he's the majority shareholder. I love it. Emotionally, Dave, I'm elated. I mean, he's got a net worth of $1.7 billion, whereas Ken Wright, the old guy, net worth $44 million. It's like you owning the club. Rationally, though, Dave, I'm a little afraid. And I just know I've watched too much Portsmouth, Leeds, Newcastle, all undone by the folly of their new overlords. Aston Villa, who climbed gloriously to begin with under Randy Lerner when he poured in the money and then plummeted once he turned off the spigots. I know new owners don't mean instant glory, David.
Yeah. But sometimes they do. Especially when they own Russian energy companies, Roger. It can be very good
but this
for
is
a
not,
team who play in blue.
This is not Roman Abramovich wealth. This is not Manchester City wealth. But at the same time, he's not a footballing newbie. He does understand the game from his time at Arsenal.
Yeah, but Rog, look, he's worth, I think, 1.9, 1.8, 1.9 billion.
1.7 billion.
And Roman is worth maybe 6 billion. But he doesn't spend all of his billion on the club. We're talking about billionaires. Billionaires, Rog. And it's a fraction of the money that they need.
What we're really talking about is the intent. We're talking about what is the intent until he talks more, until he starts to... I mean, what I can say...
He's interested in football, Rog. He owned a minority share, a very small share of Arsenal, and he was unhappy not owning... He wanted to own more than 25% of a football club.
Why do you want to own a club? Do you want to grow the club? Do you want to lead it to glory for your own reasons, whatever they are? Or do you want to grow it a little bit, flip it and make a profit? The thing that's fascinating about Everton... I mean, number one, I think the days in which Everton were financially outmuscled by the secondary level football teams, the West Hams, the Stokes, the Spurs and the transfer market are hopefully over. And in the short term, it's going to be interesting to see how John Stones, Romelu Lukaku, whether they are more engaged to stay at the club. But now Everton have suddenly shaken down their hair, taken off their glasses, become a lot more beautiful than they seemed at the beginning of the movie, like Rachel Lee Cook at the end of She's All That. The big issue is Everton Stadium, Goodison Park. It's an old, kind of hulking, beautiful dinosaur, ill-equipped for the modern corporate box stadium era. How much is he willing to invest in cracking the new stadium issue? And does the new owner intend to build something, add value to the club and quickly flip it? Or is he trying to build something for reason? We need to know more, David. What are his intentions? What are his motivations? And do they overlap with growing a club in a wonderful way?
Yeah, the only things I'd be concerned about, Rog, I mean, I know we're already looking into his stance on Israel, but the only other thing I'd be concerned about, he owned a team that played in red, and he now owns a team that play in blue. That, to me, I can't resolve that in my head.
Yeah, he was a Manchester United fan. He tried to buy Liverpool.
So he's a red.
None of that bothers me. None of that bothers me. All that bothers me is why he's doing it, what his motivations are, and what his time frame for doing that. And please God, it will overlap with building something beautiful within the tradition of Everton Football Club. At MJ Trigger said, "You are elated, Rog. So is this the scariest day of your life? Is the hope on the horizon? I am happy for you, excited for the future. It's always darker before the dawn."
Yeah.
What's the reverse of that, David? That's probably how I'm feeling right now.
Yeah. It's always light before sunset, probably, is the opposite of that. At the time of recording, we are just a few more than 7,000 minutes from the start of MLS's 2016 season. I'm excited, Rog. The season begins with all 20 teams, Rog. I thought there were more in action this Sunday, March 6th.
There will be by the time the pod comes out.
I know, it's expansion. Don is expanding very quickly. A few sides with CONCACAF Champions League games this week as well.
Oh, the season starts this weekend. The 21st season of MLS was a person that could legally gamble on the Biloxi riverboat for the first time. Looking forward to its return and the storylines it brings. We're going to unpack 3 of them on our MLS podcast special.
Special.
The big name determined to enforce his will on his opponents, Frankie Lampard.
Yeah.
The young starlet who must fulfill a promise and carry the attacking hopes of his team on his shoulders.
Ashley Cole. I'm joking.
Jordan Morris.
Yeah.
And the young coach who hopes to defend his team's championship with the style they conjured to win it all. Portland's Caleb Porter. That show drops on Thursday. Quick word about MLS and much of what I think is good about it, David, captured in the fantastic story of Savannah Bee.
Yeah.
The Columbus Crew fan who was captured by television cameras at the final, flipping the bird to Don Garber after a team lost MLS Cup to Portland Timbers. Even more fantastic, the Portland Timbers fans who this week raised $1,600 via GoFundMe to fly Savannah Bee out to their stadium to watch her team, the Crew, kick off the season in Portland. Merritt Paulson, the Timbers owner, even threw in free tickets. Savannah tweeted, "I am crying at work because I'm so overwhelmed with every happy emotion. You are all great effing people. Thank you." She later told
I
us...
wonder how Don Garber feels about all of this.
I think it's probably... I'd like to think Don knows this is great for the league. I spoke to her later and she said, "This is the most surreal crap that's ever happened in my life. I am humbled by everyone's generosity and positivity." What are the lessons of this, David? That there's a remarkable camaraderie amongst MLS fans, that football is amazing, and that children who are listening give Don Garber the bird at every opportunity.
All over the country.
It can change your
wherever he goes. Absolutely. This weekend's nationally televised games include that rematch between Portland Timbers and Columbus, with at Savannah Bee attending at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN and at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox Sports 1. The Seattle Sounders hosting Sporting Kansas City. Rog, alert. Bugle, a new look for US soccer. The United States Soccer Federation unveiled its first new crest in 20 years this Monday. I'm holding it up, Rog. Describe it for me. Us. People. Humans. Bipeds.
I think you're the more aesthetically articulate than me, David.
It's curvy.
Yeah.
It's definitely curvier.
Curvy.
It's a shield
Shieldy.
still.
Curvy, shieldy.
Yeah.
And it says USA.
Yeah. It's a little bit 1936 Berlin. Micro-penisy. He would have liked it. He would have liked it. He who must not be named would have liked it. One nation, one team.
David, the listeners want to know, are you thinking these are good things or bad things?
Bad things. I think it is a bit, I'm not sure about it.
I don't know how I feel. They're full disclosure.
Yeah.
I hated the old US logo. It's less a logo, more a placeholder. That soccer ball flown wildly on the badge may have been the most insecure sporting design decision ever made.
Yeah.
Craven need to provide the rest of the country with an aide de memoir as to what sport is being played here. Hated the font, the tablet Gothic heavy oblique, or maybe it was future bold oblique. Oh, and the actual trajectory of the ball hurtling upwards suggests the badge is either celebrating a goal kick or a wildly hacked shot over the bar. But the new one, Davo, say crests, they're tough. They need to look good on the jersey. They need to look good nowadays on half-an-inch social media. It means they've got to appear incredibly basic. This one looks kind of like a template, Davo. And I'll say the US has a rich history of remarkable crests from the past. The website Soccer Over There has a full gallery over them. I adored the Centennial crest. When I saw it, Davo, my first thought was I just felt so sorry for every American outlaw who'd had the old crest tattooed on their body.
You know, the thing is, America is the friendliest, most welcoming, warmest country in the world, which is amazing considering the military might, the superpower, the dominant superpower, hyperpower the United States is. It's just not very warm and welcoming. Perhaps it's the fact that the S is so big and it's a bit SS-y, that S. That's perhaps why I'm saying that he who must not be named would have liked it circa 1936, Rog. Our first Raven is from Sarah Schuster from Des Moines. After watching the FIFA presidential election, I dug out my Who album and played Won't Get Fooled Again, just so I could hear Roger Daltrey, one of the very few good Rogers, scream, "Meet the new boss, same as the old boss." Am I being cynical? Should I give new FIFA president Johnny Baby more of a chance?
Johnny Baby.
We've got to call him Johnny Baby.
Oh, Johnny Baby. I like it. Johnny Baby, another Powerball.
He is a Powerball. If he's had a hair transplant from an Italian
he does look like he's had an
clinic,
Italian hair transplant. I don't think you're being cynical. Only time will tell. I've got to tell you, I've got little to no belief in FIFA or anyone involved in it. But I do have complete belief in Loretta Lynch and the Justice Department, who are arguably the most important people in football right now, global football. Did you watch the FIFA election?
Not a moment of it.
I watched the whole thing from beginning to end. It was remarkably surreal. Because I like Spectre meetings in bad guy lairs where the world's most complex criminals announce publicly they're going to reform themselves. There were things like, they'd run these PowerPoints, Davo, for the cameras with like these huge words, reform, credibility, transparency. And then they cut to Issa Hayatou, who'd speak. That was a man who has a litany of corruption charges against him with both FIFA and the IOC. I guess you could admire his consistency. There was some great light jazz music. I wish FIFA didn't change the track so quickly. They'd gone for an hour and a half during voting. Made it very difficult to make love to, if anyone from FIFA's listening. But some great pluses. They passed a reform.
It's enough that you were watching the FIFA presidential election, let alone trying to make love during it, Rog.
What else are you going to do during the second round of voting, David? Yeah. They passed a reform package. One introduced to calm their big brands that support them and the Department of Justice, term limits, integrity checks, respecting human rights, transparency, greater promotion of women.
No more tasting menus at lunch.
Or little tasting menus.
Only 8 courses on the tasting menu at lunch.
And then the big election. 2 rounds, pitting at the end Bahrain's football-hating, human rights abusing Sheikh Salman.
Yeah.
Boo.
He's the Democrat.
Yeah.
More liberal of the two.
Against the UEFA bureaucrat Johnny Baby.
Yeah.
Gianni Infantino.
Yeah.
The Italian Swiss then bucked the common political wisdom long held that a bald man can't become president.
Yeah.
By winning the second round vote. New boss, Davo. I have to say, the wide grins on many of the faces of the usual suspects when he won. Bit of a telltale sign. But let's give him a chance, not cast aspersions. He was Michel Platini's number 2, a general secretary at UEFA. He comes from a Swiss village called Brig. You may know it because the next village along, Visp, is where Sepp Blatter lives. It's 6 miles away, right down there in the valley below the hamlet of Taint and the little town of PP. It's very quaint.
Okay, that's not real stats.
2 of those are not stats.
Yeah.
Rob Harris of AP calls him the accidental president. He only stepped up when Platini got kicked out of football. His election manifesto promises all the correct themes, but the quote he gave that made my hair stand on end was when he said, "The money of FIFA is your money," i.e. business as usual, wink, wink. Only time will tell, David. It was fascinating. The blocks, Africa, Asia, Europe, were in free play. They broke down. Huge amount of horse trading went on, and the US papers claimed Sunil Gulati was the kingmaker.
Really? The US voted one way in the first round and another way in the second round.
Yeah, they went with Gianni.
Yeah.
Only the US papers have reported Sunil Gulati was the kingmaker, which either means he was the kingmaker.
Yeah.
Or
he wasn't the kingmaker.
He wasn't, but he's the only one who talks to the US journalists.
Yeah, maybe.
We will find out because 2026 World Cup hosting duties, the process Johnny Baby announced is going to start in September.
Yeah.
USA 2026 sound like the sweetest word. So 10-year-old Americans listening, start training, start dreaming, start training. But anyway, what do you think, Blatter?
And the host of the 2026 World Cup will be Togo. You can just see it coming.
Oh, please, God, not. Blatter, by the way, put out a press release immediately praising Infantino's experience and expertise, saying that the two had drunken mull wine at Christmas. Not exactly what you want to hear on your first day in the job. What do you think Sepp Blatter does now, David?
Well, he had his ban shortened.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's really a decision between just carving puppets out of wood and fixing clocks, or does he dig a sex cave in his basement and just hang out at home?
He could go and run Spectre. I think that job is now open after the end of the last Bond
stressful.
movie. It is exactly. He's well qualified. Who's more qualified to go and run that organisation? Oh, I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't care. I tell you what I worry is that we've got rid of Blatter and it's like getting rid of Saddam Hussein in Iraq, Rog. That's what I worry about.
Worse, because we've all got FIFA fatigue. We don't care anymore.
Yeah, we thought it was done.
But Johnny Baby, we welcome you with open arms. You're a great friend of the pod. Yeah. Until you're not.
Okay, Rog, the winner of the coveted Guinness Men in Blazers Poet, Philosopher, Sack, Scribe, Raven of the Week is Alex Ostreicher. I imagine that's how it's pronounced, or Österreicher, I don't know. I write to you in search of advice and a bit of perspective. In November, I'm going to marry the woman I love,
Mazel tov.
Good start.
Yeah.
Good start.
I thought your advice would be don't do it.
No, but he loves her,
Oh.
and which I think is good.
Yeah, I love it.
In
Love.
beautiful Sacramento, California. I can't speak to that. Never been there. While I have no doubt she's the woman for me, during this time I notice more and more that she reminds me of Rog.
My God. She
That
must
worries
be
me.
beautiful.
Whoa, it's another way of looking at that. She doesn't follow football, but she's a voracious reader, a hard worker, and a lover of John Green novels. The only football team she has any opinions on are John Green's AFC Wimbledon. She gives me regular updates of their League One status, which I look for, status probably from Alex, which I look forward to and love. She tempers my wild-eyed optimism with healthy doses of negativity and perspective. Don't call Rodgers anything healthy, and don't call it negativity and perspective. This comes in handy when I start to brag about Tottenham's league position, and she reminds me that we always finish behind Arsenal and somehow find a way to end up in the Europa League. Anyway, what really clinched the Rog connection was when we were discussing where to go on our honeymoon. Most recently, married couples I know go to Hawaii or somewhere else tropical. I was thinking somewhere exotic and far away like Singapore. When I asked her, she made it clear exactly what she wanted, to spend Christmas in England. She said, well, Rog would never want to do that. She said she wanted to wear sweaters, drink Guinness and sit by a fireplace in a warm pub. She wants it to be as much like a Muppets Christmas Carol as possible. That sounds way more like me. I'm not sure if anything could be more Rog than that. It could be. That's Davo. This plan sounds great to me, especially when I realise we'll be in England for Boxing Day football matches. So I've just a few questions on my future wife being Rog. Davo, how did you find your partnership with Rog works out? Well, this could be the longest podcast in history. How do you feel about reading a lot fewer books than Rog? Do you feel like your perspectives balance each other out and make a great partnership? Also, if you could give advice on what to do with the 4 hours of visible sunlight during our honeymoon in England, that would be great. I don't think she sounds like Rog. I'm going to make this simple, really simple for you. She
sounds like a noble and venerable
She sounds like
being.
a noble. She sounds like she's got a bit of Davo, the Muppets Christmas Carol thing. Really, so that's my speed. Muppets Christmas Carol. Not that Rog, a female version of Rog, were she to exist in real life.
Oh, she's beautiful.
She'd be interesting. I think we could agree that she'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Would like to meet her husband.
She'd be a bit angry.
Yeah, perhaps.
She'd be disappointed.
Yeah, absolutely.
She didn't get a fair deal in life. Fair, good hand. All I say is mazel tov on your coming nuptials. Your wife does actually sound lovely.
Yeah.
Much too lovely to be me.
Yeah.
My advice to you and to anyone listening, don't marry a Rog.
Yeah.
We're terrible lovers.
Well, it's mainly because you're trying to make love during the FIFA presidential election. Who's going to get into that? Okay, your weekend looks like this, courtesy of Mini USA. Saturday at 7:45 a.m. Eastern Time, Tottenham versus Arsenal. That's the North London derby, Rog. At 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Watford versus Leicester City. That's the Midlands derby, Rog, because Watford is certainly not part of London. Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, West Bromwich Albion versus Manchester United. All those games are on NBCSN. There are many ways to connect to us. One is through Amazon Emporium, which helps keep the show going. Anytime you go on Amazon for items big or small, just click off the Emporium page, and MIB gets a tiny percentage, allows us to cover the cost of creating the show. What are you putting in the Emporium this week?
A book.
A book.
This is London.
Yeah.
Life and Death in the World City by Ben Judah.
Ah.
One of the most impactful books I read when I was a kid. George Orwell's Down and Out in Paris and London.
Oh, yeah.
Orwell lived as a homeless bloke for an extended period so he could write about the lives of those who'd slipped through the cracks of life, living in the grimy periphery of the great cities. Ben Judah's applied Orwell's approach to modern London, immersing himself in the hidden world of migrants, minimum wage workers, Filipino maids who work for oligarchs, Ghanaian pickers who clean up discarded newspapers from the subway, and gang leaders from Grenada. 40% of Londoners were born outside of Britain. Amazing, Davey. Stats!
Amazing. Stats.
And this book builds a textured sense of the forces of the shaping the city and the lives of the people that live there.
Very noble, Rog. I, on the other hand, am putting in a US regulation bugle, Rog, in nickel silver, with a mouthpiece, a bag, and an instruction manual.
Someone's been inspired.
I know. I buy the bugler at Leicester, Rog. Producer Zips You're going to be getting the bugle. I'll be informing you about 3 minutes before my arrival at the Embassy Row Studios in the crap part of Soho to start wetting your lips.
Yep.
And
there'll be a text.
And then
David's arriving.
Yeah.
Tell Ziplo to get his lips ready.
And then you can bugle me in. I've always wanted to be bugled into the building.
And
Rog.
out.
And out. And out. And lunchtime, perhaps we'll have a little reveille.
David's waking up from his siesta. Get me my bugler.
Yeah, I love it. Bring me my bugler, Ziplo. Anyway, so a bargain at $219.95 as far as I'm concerned. Okay, you can now watch entire episodes of our crap TV show on NBC Sports Live Extra, Apple TV and Roku. It's also up on our website, meninblazers.com. Also on meninblazers.com, a place to sign up for our newsletter, Rog, The Raven, which we produce with our partner Guinness. We got a Spotify account, men_in_blazers, meninblazers.wikispaces.com. A wonder of the modern world.
And we're also releasing this very day on EA Sports FIFA, the Men in Blazers starting MLS FUT 11.
Oh.
It's a fantastic 11 group of guys.
Wow.
It's a beautiful video you and I cut together, David.
Yeah.
You can play in the FIFA tournament that is kicking off to coincide with the launch of the MLS season.
Wow. You can follow us on Twitter at Men in Blazers, at Embassy Davies, at Rog Bennett on Instagram, at Men in Blazers, at Embassy_Davies. We've got a Facebook. We've got a subreddit, meninblazers.reddit.com, maintained by GFOBs Akshay, Calvin, and Alex. You can always send your ravens to the crap part of Soho. You can email us at meninblazers@gmail.com. Venderpunk Rog.
War pig.
Who wants to sex my tumble?
Explosion.
Courage.
Live in the mare.
Is that your analysis?
To Tweed.
Abrigado. Rock on, mate.
Kung Fu.